I love money and I feel no shame about it. And I'm sure you love money too, right? This is why you're here. So, in today's conversation, I want to speak to you about a massive personal loan from Best Egg. We're talking up to $35,000. Fantastic. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sturdy Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you're all doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous, if you were to ask me. If you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. In today's conversation, I want to speak to you about a humongous personal loan from Best Egg. We're talking $35,000. And the cool thing here is that it doesn't matter your credit, you can still qualify. Before I get into the actual nitty-gritty, please, folks, let me just say a very short disclaimer here. We have no association, no relationship with Best Egg. We're not getting paid to do this kind of video. We love speaking about personal loans that will change people's lives. This show is purely instructional, educational, and informational. Okay? Having said that, let's just get into the actual nitty-gritty. So I'm very excited, very excited. So we have a loan, $35,000 maximum. What are the loan facts? You can have an unsecured loan, so no deposit. You can have a co-sign loan or a debt consolidation loan. So the $35,000, it really depends how you want to use it, how you want to apply for the loan. It could be unsecured, co-sign, or focused on debt consolidation. The amount will fluctuate between $2,000 and $35,000. The APR 5.99 to 29.99%. There are no fees, and the term 1 to 7 years. And with Best Egg, we love the fact that they were very fast. Can you believe that? They were really fast. The time to funding will oscillate between 24 and 48 hours. And extra condition, the minimum FICO is 500. It's just great. And when we speak about Best Egg, I want you to really understand that this is a player, a lender that's been around for a while. They've been around for a while. They know their industry. They actually lend to a whole constellation of borrowers, not just people with poor credit or no credit. They lend to people with good credit, with fair credit, with excellent credit. Okay, and we love the fact that the pros and cons here. They offer competitive rates among fair credit and bad credit lenders, and they can fund loans very fast. Okay, and they offer reasonable rates for poor credit applications. And in some cases, they might also give you a secure loan. And this is actually good for people who have a home. So if you're a homeowner, you might actually go for a higher amount, more than $35,000, but you have to pledge part of the equity in your house. And in terms of the cons, overall, Best Egg does not charge any origination fee. However, they've said, and some people have confirmed to us, that in some cases, in some states in the union, they do charge origination fees. And you can actually, when it comes to a Best Egg, one thing that we have also seen is that they don't offer direct payments to creditors with debt consolidation loans. So you got to do things yourself. I want to talk to you now about the lender. Who is Best Egg? I mean, of course, this show is about the loan, but I want to just take some time to explain what they do. Again, in this show, folks, I'm speaking to you about a large personal loan, $35,000 maximum from Best Egg. Great player, great player. So when we talk about Best Egg, what are we talking about? We're talking about a lender that's been around for a while, as I said, and we have actually evaluated them on many criteria, including the variety of loans they offer, how generous the loan amounts are, the cost. Okay, so we're talking about APR and other fees, so early payment fees, origination fees, and so on and so forth, the reputation of the lender, and their customer service. And I must say that we were really impressed. We assigned the company a score of 9.5 over 10 after analyzing their business model in depth. And the great thing here is that our review and our score was corroborated by thousands of reviewers on Trustpilot. On that platform, they have an excellent score of 4.7 stars out of 5 from 5,536 reviewers as of today. Having said that, it's important to point that out. In August 2020, Marlette, the parent company of Best Egg, settled with the Colorado Attorney General's office after the state alleged that it partnered with out-of-state banks to offer rates above the state mandated maximum. You can see the press release from the Colorado Attorney General's office here. And as a result, Marlette Funding, they agreed to pay just over $1 million for consumer protection efforts and an additional $500,000 to support the state's financial education efforts. So what I'm trying to say here is that it's not always rosy, right? I mean, sometimes they might have some business practices that are not interesting, they're not recommendable. But overall, this is a great player. Folks, let me now talk to you about the eligibility criteria. Are you eligible for this loan? Again, I'm speaking to you about a large, humongous loan from Best Egg. You can get up to $35,000 to cover a whole host of things, no matter your credit. So how do you qualify for a Best Egg loan? They want you to have a minimum credit score of 500. Okay. In some cases, they've said a 525. And based on our research, the average of their borrower, the average FICO score of their borrowers is 650. But they do go with people with lower FICO scores too. And they want you to have a minimum credit history. So they want you to have at least 3 years and 3 accounts. So it doesn't matter the score you have, they just want you to have some credit history. They also have a minimum income. There is no minimum income requirement to qualify for the $35,000 loan from Best Egg. However, based on our research, their borrower average is $70,000. One thing the Best Egg also said is that you must have enough cash flow to cover current financial obligations. That makes sense. It's part of their risk mitigation. They need to cover their ass. It's very important. So you got to have some cash coming in. They want you to have a minimum debt to income ratio of 40%. And if you have a mortgage, it has to be 65%. And the borrower average is 40%. Okay. And what is debt to income? Debt to income means that you're taking all the debts that you are currently paying for, and you divide that by your income, your disposable income. Okay. So this is something you have to think about. Not the disposable, just the regular income, because this disposable income is another topic. I'm not going to get into too much details here, but yeah. And in terms of employment, they want you to provide proof of income, and part-time employees are also eligible. Not a problem. If you are a part-time employee or you have a contract going on, no problem. And you must provide a valid U.S. address and social security number. Now let's talk about the use of loan proceeds. So when we talk, what are we talking about, folks? I'm still having a conversation with you about a massive personal loan from Best Egg. I'm talking about $35,000 maximum you can get, no matter your credit. Doesn't matter the credit you have, you can still get it. And you can use the money for a variety of purposes. So for example, you can use it for debt consolidation. Okay, you can actually do credit card refinancing. That works also. You can do some home improvements. Again, it depends on where you are in your life, the needs that you have. So home improvement, Best Egg approves everything from garage door replacement to kitchen remodeling to new siding to deck and patio additions and window replacements. They're comfortable with that, no problem. They also finance moving expenses. And the cool thing here is that when moving expenses, we've seen in our analysis that Best Egg is pretty flexible. So they will actually cover you whether you are moving from New Jersey to Connecticut or from New Jersey all the way to California. Doesn't matter the distance, they'll work with you. Remember though that the amount has to be between $2,000 and $35,000. Okay, and we also love the fact that they will finance other occasions in your life, from major purchases to travel. So if you're planning a dream vacation but don't have the cash, guess what? You can take part of that 35 grand and apply it for the dream vacation in Acapulco or in the Maldives. And you can use the money also for special occasions. Again, it depends on your situation. And if you have a new baby, a new wonderful addition to your family, whether it is biologically or through adoption, guess what? You can grow your family stress-free. And that's the bottom line here. So the a loan from Best Egg runs the whole gamut when it comes to the uses, when it comes to the purposes you can allocate the money for. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. I'm very happy today because I'm still talking to you about a massive personal loan from Best Egg. And I'm speaking about up to $35,000 that you can get as a personal loan, no matter your credit. And let's talk now about the evidence needed. So if you have to successfully apply for this loan, there is some evidential documentation you need to provide. Of course, everything happens online, but if they need additional information, or if they ask you to upload some information, you need to do that. So you need to be very truthful on the loan application form. So everything about why you're applying for the loan, to whether or not this is a joint loan application, whether you are co-borrowing or co-signing, your personal background, what kind of other debts you have, that kind of information, whether you're going to use the money to purchase an asset, a car, a home, a boat, like those things are just basic. They're standard. They're part of the standard questionnaire that you get with all lenders. They might ask you also to attach your resume to kind of see, to have an idea of your journey, what I call your existential journey, right? And if you have derogatory items on your credit report, such as you have a repo, or you have collections, charge-offs, hard inquiries, that kind of stuff, you might want to add an explanatory note to the to your credit report. What you're doing is you are providing contextual information to Best Egg to better study your application. And also, please keep in mind you need to provide your income tax returns, your bank statements, and in some cases, your financial statements. It really depends upon the amount you're looking for, your creditworthiness, and and where you live, because the different states have different regulations when it comes to personal loans and business loans, for that matter. So when I speak about personal financial statements, I'm speaking about 3 statements. So you have your balance sheet, also called statement of financial condition. You have your income statement, also called the P&L, profit and loss statement, and you have your cash flow. Okay, that's important. And in some cases, you might need to provide additional information from about your co-signer and co-borrower. So if you have a co-borrowing agreement, then Best Egg will want to know everything about the other co-borrower too, and that makes sense, right? Because that person is also part of that person will be part of the underwriting process. I want to talk to you now, folks, about how to apply. Right? This is exciting. This is really, really the exciting part. You want to learn how to apply. And again, folks, I'm speaking to you about a wonderful, massive personal loan from Best Egg, $35,000. Think about that, 35 grand. In this day and age, you could do a lot with that, right? So you can apply through the phone. You can actually apply via email. But in the last few months and years, Best Egg has actually transformed everything electronically. So they want you to go online and apply online. And I'm going to show you right now on the screen a step-by-step on how to apply successfully. So first, they want you to enter your email, right? So you want to register, and then they want you to talk about the loan amount and raising how much you need. You can go from 2,000, as I said earlier, to 35 grand. Then you want to input your personal info. Then they ask you for more information. And they want to have an idea of your employment status. And then they ask you more information about yourself. And then about your income. And they're interested whether or not you rent or own. Folks, it makes sense. Why? Because they want to know your DTI. So DTI stands for your debt to income ratio. So when they ask you whether you rent or own, they want to pay attention to your DTI. And they want to ask you about credit card advances. And next, they want you to opt in auto pay. Now, auto pay is important because enrolling in automatic payments is not really a condition of credit. Okay, you may opt out of automatic payments at any time, but the thing here is that you want to contact, once you are approved for a loan, you want to contact Best Egg to learn more about the payment methods that they offer. And then next, you have to finish up here. Remember, this will not affect your credit score if you input some personal information. So they're asking you to input your SSN, your social security number. Remember, as I said before, folks, with Best Egg, you need to have credit history. Low, fair, good, it's okay. But no credit will not work. You need to have credit history. And we're showing you this to you on the screen right now for illustration purposes, how a no credit denial letter looks like. No credit denial letter. You can see that. And we're showing you also the next one. So we have intentionally inputted wrong data into the application process to show you what goes wrong if you don't put the right data, right? What kind of a response you can get from Best Egg. But when you do your application, please input the right information all the way through. Folks, now let me give you a few pro tips on how to actually get the loan, the 35 grand loan from Best Egg. One thing I want you to do very importantly is that you want to maintain good credit before, during the application, and after the application. And by maintaining good credit means what? It means that if you have some derogatory items on your credit report, just mop them away. You can mop them away. There are several ways to do this. You can do it yourself. The DIY option is kind of cool, but it requires time and expertise. You need to have a knack for writing dispute letters. If you don't have that knack or that time, you want to outsource the thing. You can outsource it to a for-profit credit repair company, such as Credit Saints or Lexington Law, or you can outsource it to a non-for-profit credit repair and credit counseling organization that can help you too. We have covered both topics, both types of companies on our show. And you also want to constantly working on demonstrating sufficient cash flow. You want to show Best Egg that you have money coming in. It doesn't matter whether you have a full-time job or part-time job. The bottom line here is that you have enough cash coming into your coffers every single month. Because the bottom line here is that you want to show Best Egg that you can do what? You can pay them back. That's all they care about. Okay. And you want to talk about your employment. So you want to maintain a good employment history. You want to gather your documents. Always have your paperwork ready. I'm speaking about your personal tax returns, bank statements, financial statements. And if you happen to have a business, this could help too, because even though this is strictly a personal loan application, you might actually want to put your business information into the whole mix to increase your creditworthiness. And one thing you also want to do here is that you want to make sure that you have an idea of the kind of loan you want from Best Egg. Okay, so this is very important. I mean, I think I've said earlier Best Egg, but it's actually Best Egg. So this is it. All right, folks, this was it for today's conversation. I was talking to you about how to get a large personal loan up to $35,000 from Best Egg. So I spoke to you about the facts of the loan, the lender at a glance, eligibility criteria, use of loan proceeds, evidence needed, how to apply, and I give you some pro tips. Thank you so much for your conversation. Thank you so much for your attention. I will see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.